No, I'm really excited that you guys are here, but we were talking just a little bit. I wanted to get a little bit more of your origin stories because I think the origin is actually kind of good. So I'll start enjoying my oatmeal.
Sure.
But let's start with your origin story. Like, was there a moment in time where you said to yourself, okay, vector database, this idea isn't just something that needs to exist. It's, it's something that just, it's going to change industries.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was, of course, when, I left AWS to build Pinecone. At the time, I was building AI infrastructure as a part of AWS. And you saw sort of these two massive trends in technology converge, right? So as a society, we spend decades and millions of human hours and billions of dollars in building machine learning, right? From GPUs to models to, I'm an academic, I still am an adjunct professor. So
right. And Tel Aviv,
the amount of Tel Aviv, I actually also taught at Princeton last year. The amount of effort that we put into getting these models that we have today and getting them to be smart is sort of like stupendous, right? You actually have exactly the sort of analogous story with information and knowledge, right? Search, knowledge bases, the internet itself, open, like Wikipedia, like organizing knowledge as a human endeavor, right? Is a massive investment, right? Being able to search stuff, being able to retrieve relevant information, all the advance in databases and search engines and Google itself and all that stuff. And late, so 2018, 19, you started seeing those worlds converge, right? Suddenly it's not like search engines and models, it's like search engines and models. Like AI is gonna make search 1,000 times smarter, and search is gonna make AI 1,000 times more usable, right? And they become one thing. And sort of that became this like colossal pincer movement of technology of like take sort of two of the biggest investments ever made by humanity in technology and sort of have this like supernova in the middle. And if we could sort of be the thing that connects those two worlds, that's the place to be.
Because most data is unstructured. There's like, and I want to give you a little bit of time to eat though, but I want to talk about why you think just most companies can't actually structure it well or find any sort of meaningful value in it. And, I'm curious about that because I love when you say that there's this difference between knowledge and intelligence. And on the face of it, those just seem like the exact two words, the exact two meanings, but they're not.
Completely different. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm any smarter than I was when I was 18. Just in terms of
raw
sheer
compute.
CPU.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Raw compute.
I'm probably less.
Definitely less.
Right? Sure.
Definitely less.
It's like,
100%.
I would think I'm a much more capable CEO and executive today than I was at 18. I knew jack. The thing that changed is my knowledge, my experience. The fact that I now have...
I see what you're saying.
I have these experiences. I actually remember drawing relevant information. The same thing is true in MBA, like your legal firm, the senior partner is not smarter than the whippersnapper on day one, right?
The whippersnapper.
No,
I
true.
agree with
like
you.
The young,
I agree with
the
you.
young kids that come in,
I used to be that guy.
Smart as right? They don't have the wealth of information. When I speak with large companies like enterprises and so on, the most amount of value in their business is not in their data lake.
Right.
Okay, it's in their contracts, it's in their meeting transcriptions, it's in their
Slack,
in their emails, in their historic context, in their documents, memos and decisions.
Scanned in,
Exactly. And you ask them, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
And the answer is almost always nothing. we store it,
That's interesting.
right?
Right.
Whatever, like.
It's just a repository.
We
that
have a
just kind of-
wiki, you know, we can
Sure.
go and.
Have a wiki.
No, I'm serious. Like, they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Right? In the best case, they make it accessible, then nobody accesses it.
Right.
But if you could now take the smartness of AI, right? So like think about how much, you know, we've grown to assume these models are pretty goddamn smart.
Right.
Right. Think about what would happen if you also knew not only are they that smart, but they also know everything.
Sure.
They've read all my documents. They've read all my contracts. They listened to all the meetings. They read all the memos.
Yeah, they've extracted the right things.
They actually read the entire, wiki. They remember everything.
Yeah, they haven't glossed
over. And not
over
only
it.
are they that smart, they actually know everything about my business. I can actually ask, hey, why is this customer of mine saying this to me, and what's actually happening, and what do I need to know that I don't know yet, or the analysis of this, we're running an analysis of some business, like, how does this relate to other stuff that we've seen before, and, how should I react, right? These are deep questions. It's not a model thing.
No.
It's like, it's very specific to your company, your history, your content, and so on. So connecting those two worlds, getting those really, really smart models to actually consume, know, and have access to everything in your company.
Yeah.
That's where you see enterprise really just like the eyebrows just go.
Sure,
like,
totally.
Holy shit, this is like possible.
Okay. You've totally changed. You've opened up my aperture on that. I want to get to your origin story, because if we're talking all about this, I mean, you pretty much originated and built Bing.
Well, yeah, one of many, but yes.
One of many, but okay, still.
Yep.
We don't have to go all the way back there,
No.
but get me to HumanX. Give me the origin. What was that aha moment?
Well, it was actually from those early days. I've been a nerd, not a professor, certainly not at Princeton, but I've been a nerd for a long time, since I was a little kid writing code, and always wanted to have that C3PO, and I wanted to have RTD. Not he couldn't speak, but I wanted to have Kit and Knight Rider, and I worked on this for a long time. And in the 2010s, we had super simple models that kind of worked. We tried to recreate the entire world in digital. All this crazy stuff just wasn't ready. The tech wasn't there yet to do a lot of what we wanted to do. So I honestly felt like AI was, something I could still aspire to see in science fiction. I could have my Star Trek communicator, but the reality was, in my lifetime, probably weren't going to see that natural human-computer interface that we all were so excited about. And then we saw Transformers pop out. I got a little more excited, and we saw Chat pop out. People now were actually understanding what the hell I did all those years. My mom actually knew what I was doing back in the day, which was great. She was, that's what you're working, sort of, Mom, sort of. And so I got very excited. We now have seen this opportunity for more people to experience the power of enhanced human-computer interaction. So I was super excited, and all these companies were getting funding and coming out, and like, wow, this is a great opportunity for humanity. And then I started calling my buddies who were running these large companies, and I said, hey, so what are you doing with all these new pieces of technology? And I got three forms of answers. One, it's like, why are you calling me? It's a bad answer. The second was, we've got yeah, exactly. Do we work together? We did. I promise we work together at some point. Yeah. Whites? No? All right. Forget about it. The second batch was, we have a great plan, which is a complete lie, that they didn't at the end of the day. And the third one was kind of like, I'm not really sure what to do. The reality was, the vast majority of large enterprises really didn't have a clue as to how they're going to deploy this technology. And so as a guy who also runs a venture capital firm and invests in these companies, and as a nerd who wants to see AI come to fruition and actually benefit all of humanity, it's a bad place to be. If the buyers don't know what they're doing, and the sellers are just creating new, more and better technology every single day, and there's no ability to kind of match those needs and opportunities together, we're going to underdeliver on the promise of AI, and we're going to have dramatic corrections in the market as companies fail to achieve sufficient revenues to justify the increasingly high valuations. Yeah. So that was the reason behind HumanX. It was, how do we create an opportunity? How do we create a forum, a marketplace, a place to come and be inspired by these innovations, but also then to take real action and move into, what do I do with this stuff now that I understand the potential of what it could actually be?
Well, it's definitely, I mean, you've already signed up 50 50 speakers for
I said
2027.
170, but we will.
Oh, 100. Oh,
we'll
sorry.
advertise
sorry.
50. But
good
yes,
correction.
yes,
Good correction.
there you go.
All right. So before I want. So I have a question. You've both talked about. You've talked about legacy behaviors. You've talked about some new behaviors. So I have a quick question. Are the legacy gatekeepers or the new gatekeepers? Are the legacy gatekeepers completely toast, or are we toasting the new gatekeepers? Are we celebrating the new gatekeepers of information?
Look, I think the beauty of technology is that nobody has, nobody has the patent and whatever can fend people off. The question is, like, how good is the technology? How well you can do this? And sort of what is the right pattern, right? At the end of the day, you need to get better results. You need to actually unlock value. You need to really empower people to do amazing work.
Sure.
What we see is that, yes, the new way, sort of combining search, AI, knowledge, now with agents taking on the world, making those trustworthy and useful and efficient and, sort of like an integral part of day-to-day, business doing, right?
Yeah.
It's just, work, part of work is still hard. Right?
Sure.
And if you rely on legacy technologies, if you build on sort of like bolt-on, sort of like, hey, I take my old database and my old search engine and my old wiki and I sort of Frankensteinianly sort of smush them together and hope for the best, and now I call that AI, that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're like, no, like, I understand this is the wave of the future. Yes, this is a new technology. Yes, this is a little bit scary. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing, but I have smart engineers and smart scientists and they can help figure this out.
Yeah.
I'll take a leap forward. We'll bring in the right technologies. We'll bring in the right infrastructure, the right model, the right database, the right, the talent to the team, and say, let's move forward. Vanguard started working with us almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Vanguard's, it took some time, right? But now their support is like 12% more accurate, a lot more performant, a lot
Took
more
some
versatile.
time to get them.
For them to learn how to operate their own systems
Got it.
and improve and use
Got
the
it.
models correctly and use the database correctly.
And training and.
It's
Yeah.
a new technology. You have to learn how to use it. It doesn't, it doesn't pop out the box ready to go. It's like everything else, right? Same thing, we have startups like Custom GPT, building GPTs for a million people.
Yep.
Again, they're natively building it from the ground up. Within few months, they were way ahead of the competition of other stuff. So we 100% see a new wave of people who are embracing new technology and accelerating amazing outcomes. I think the old guard is trying to catch up and is trying to bolt on whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, sort of like, oh, we also do that now?
Sure. Yeah, they're trying
Which
to
is,
modernize
and
pretty
again,
quickly.
it works to some extent in the sense that they already have a big platform, a big channel, and they have a lot of customers, and like some people already have whatever it is they are selling, and so like, oh, okay, fine, we'll try that
Yeah.
first. The pattern of success we see is people doubling down and say,
Sure.
yep, no, we're not going to, try to half-step this. Like, we want to really like embrace it, understand, hey, like, agents are going to change the world. We have to figure this out like proper. We can't
Totally.
just.
You can't have 7. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your?
I don't think they're toast, but I think they're in the toaster at this point, and they're like, getting browner. But I think that's actually a good thing. I was actually talking to a big producer yesterday out west, and he was talking about how this is going to impact the production of TV, film, everything else.
absolutely will.
And he was projecting that they're going to be able to save 50% on pre-production, 25% on production itself, and 60% in post-production using all these new tools. Which, of course, some people will say, "Oh my gosh, this is the end. Now we're seeing the destruction of the creative industries and for those in the space."
Not at all.
And his point was, sure, we will have fewer people on each project, but we can now do a film for 1/3 the cost of traditional, which means we're not going to make less films. We're going to make more stories.
Right.
So it actually, the employment's going to probably be roughly the same, if not more. but spread across more stories. So for me, like when I think about gatekeepers and think about incumbents, I think about those who have, like, if you think of Hollywood, for example, the traditional studio systems, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of cost is baked into that. These new players can come in and actually disrupt how it's all done and really expand the opportunity for more people to make great stories. So I think it's probably a both, to your point.
But it's also just changing the way work is done. Like if you like, if whatever, like animators used to like draw then they wrote software.
Exactly.
There's nothing that says that, the job of an animator is to train a model next.
That's right.
Like you are a model trainer. Like your model will, whatever. Like so the work itself changes because the tooling changes. That's what I said. Like you don't fight this by trying to say, oh, we'll animate faster. You fight this, oh, no. Like, okay, the world changed. Now it looks like this. I need to get really good at this.
But what do you think, or have we seen it? Like, what's that tipping point where people aren't afraid of it anymore, businesses aren't afraid of it anymore, you're not talking to companies like Vanguard who are taking a lot of time to deploy it, or think, what's that tipping point? What's in your mind where it just, a certain thing has to happen?
To me, I think it's when people actually are able to touch and feel a breakthrough that otherwise wouldn't be possible without it. And so that's at the mass scale. So imagine we finally crack the code on cancer, as an example, right? Thanks to like the AlphaFold work that's happening, or we identify a protein which causes Parkinson's. And I think when people actually come to see this as maybe a little dystopian, but see it as inevitable, I think that will then, like it or not, it will create this level of, okay, now we really, it's not a flash in the pan. It's not 3D printing was all this consumer thing back in the day. It's not blockchain, which is going to revolutionize everything and has done great stuff, but also isn't necessarily blown the whole world up. I think this is one of those situations where when more people can see the actual positive and potentially negative impact of this, I think that to me is the tipping point where it will be obvious that it has to happen.
I agree. I know. I'm actually flying today to go meet with Patrick soon.
Oh yeah.
And he was actually mentioning the same thing, that he thinks healthcare is where the real critical mass and celebration of these big technology in general, that we share the same.
It's the biggest segment of the economy to a certain extent.
Correct.
I think it's, and it's probably the least beloved segment of the economy by people.
Sure.
And has a ton of opportunity, and AI in particular is a place where you can actually take all the unstructured data, all the chart notes, all the tests from over the years, a 20-year longitudinal history of somebody, and actually now make sense of it. You couldn't do that. A doctor could not do that. Can't do that today. It's impossible. It's not humanly possible. So that's why I think I get excited about it.
When people start, when they have experiences for the first time, that it's like they have this like aha moment, like, holy, this is like, okay, I can do this now. All right. This changes things for me. And sort of the flip side of it, when you take it away and they feel like,
oh, they
what?
need it.
This is like,
too.
like, oh, I search for something and it's like no search results. I'm like, what?
Their
are you
experience
talking
is
about?
subpar.
It's like,
This is expected, and then it's not there anymore. Right?
They know it's there, right?
Right.
Or at Pinecone, like we have 1,000 customers. We have 3 salespeople.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
You have 3 salespeople?
They don't write notes. They don't enter information in Salesforce. They don't, whatever. Like the conversation ends. Everything flows through. We get a Slack message of who's the buyer, who's this, who's the decision maker, what's happening, what next steps are. Everything goes in, everything is automated. Their job is to just like work and get done.
But I see your exact point.
And you take it away from them, like, I need to sit here and type for half an hour. Like, are you nuts?
Yeah, they don't want to be a stenographer. They want to be an inventor.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like that, like it's both like, hey, stuff is now possible, and or again, for me also, like internally, again, we can talk about knowledge and so on, but yeah, I mean, it's what's possible, and then when you take it away, you feel like you're in the dark ages. It's like driving without a GPS or whatever, without your Google Maps. You're like, where the hell am I? What's happening?
That's actually very true.
Just take it away.
You can't. Right. The whole tech with a heartbeat type mentality, it's all in like it's all part of our lives. We're wearing it. It's there. I could never imagine getting in the car with my kids without Google Maps.
If you sort of stop
totally
AI models, and I say AI because it's embedded everywhere
Sure.
now. If you stop that in your workplace in 2 or 3 years, your company would grind to a halt.
Absolutely.
Like driving a fleet
you'll be
without
lapped by the
without
competitors
maps.
too.
I wanted to unpack vector database because you brought up the entertainment industry, and obviously, when I was like, I don't know much about a vector database. 7.5 billion of them within Pinecone alone. Is that correct?
What the knowledge the indexes
But I was fascinated by the idea of searching by style, searching by vibe, helping with understanding DNA sequencing, like understanding like financial fraud, like unpacked a vector database for the individual, the business partner who might not really understand what that is and how that can be applied, or how they could actually build one for their company.
I'll first say for the business leaders on listening to us, your engineers already know. Don't worry about it, okay? They know, they even know.
Spoken like a true founder.
No, I'm telling you, they know Pinecone, they've
Yeah.
used it before. And if they don't, they're gonna go on our website and they're gonna figure out the docs in 5 minutes. If not, they're gonna ask a coding agent to tell them to go implement this search on Pinecone, and within 5 minutes they have it running. So your engineers know.
That's good.
That's number one. But number two, I think it's important to sort of understand what the heck is the vector database. Why do you even need like a different infrastructure? What the heck is happening here, right? And I think it's best understood by analogy, okay?
Yeah.
If you sort of walk down the street and see your buddy from high school, right? And you're like, hey, you immediately know who this is. You might take a second to remember their name or whatever, but you know the person, right? Something happened in your brain, right? First of all, they don't look the same anymore.
I got a little fat.
So they
sad.
got
lost some hair. You're like,
they're like fit and like
man.
super
Let's
jacked.
Let's go with yours.
Listen,
Let's go with yours.
I'm using his. I get it.
No, but something happened in your brain.
Yeah,
that sort of
that's right.
and
That's
sort
right.
of went and fetched this person's face and matched it to the tens of thousands of other faces you've seen that day, and the tens of thousands of people that you potentially know.
Yeah.
Right. And just to make things even more, sort of abstract, is like what your brain receives is not what your eye consumes. Like your retina is sort of like a CCD, kind of very messy one, but what your brain, what gets to your temporal lobes is the output of the visual cortex, which is a jumble. It's it's an array of activations of neurons that has nothing to do with the original image. It's just a jumble.
Wow.
Okay? That's what you remember. That output of the visual cortex is what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
correlation
face
to,
in your brain anywhere. But somehow this thing sort of like finds its way and says, hey, you know what, this is my buddy Mark, right? That layer of activation of neurons, that kind of memory, that ability to remember by analogy, by meaning, by style, by connotation, and so on, that's a brain thing, that's a memory thing, right? Wow. The ability to match those by similarity, by context and so on, that's a vector database. The array of numbers of the activation of neurons, that is the vector, right? This is how neural nets remember stuff. We've built them to mimic the way compute works in the brain, and we've built vector databases to mimic the way memory works in the brain, right? And you have to bring them together.
That's a great analogy. That's a good
That
one.
is fascinating.
And sorry for Mark, I'm sure Mark is jacked. Yeah. I mean,
Mark is my husband.
there you go.
So I was like, oh, that was good. Where did that? So it's basically the study of the brain is analogous to the technology of Pinecone.
I mean, it's analogous. It's sort of like in the same way that attention models are not, quite literally how the organs in the brain that are processing language work. I mean, it's analogous. It's sort of like planes and birds and all the usual analogies for these things. But Yeah, I mean, it's inspired by the functionality is the same. It needs to provide the same function. Of course, the underpinning implementation is different, but it's definitely inspired by it. And most importantly, it needs to provide the same function.
You must be coming across so many of these types of companies
Yeah.
on a daily basis, but B, wanting to be a part of HumanX, simply to deconstruct what Edo has just deconstructed for us. Tell us some companies that are coming into the fold. Tell us about HumanX next year.
Oh my gosh. Well, the companies that are coming into the fold are ones that most people have probably already heard of, like Brett Taylor's coming from Sierra, which is really
I saw that.
exciting.
That's
I'm very happy to have them. Ali Gotzi from Databricks is actually coming as well, which is really exciting. Matt Garman of AWS is coming. So these are big players, and then we have hundreds of smaller startups coming in, because that's the cool thing about this industry. But you do have the big players with a lot of money and a lot of capabilities building incredible innovations every day. And now the garage guys and gals, they're back because the tooling they have to create incredible one-person billion-dollar companies, we'll see if that actually happens, are there like never before. When I was a kid building software way back in the day, I remember just the cost of standing up your own colo or your own rack server, or going to Rackspace and getting a rack you could put your boxes in and having some person maintain those things physically. It was absurd, right?
Yeah.
And now literally you can go to your garage and have an idea and build something that could be revolutionary to even a niche customer segment. That's the cool thing. That's what we're seeing at HumanX, is a lot of companies who never before would have been viable because the money it would have taken to build the solution for a somewhat niche customer the equation would have been wrong. Well, now because the cost to build these systems has dropped so dramatically as a result of a lot of innovations that we're seeing, you can now build a product which may only have a $200 million TAM,
Sure.
and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a publicly traded company? Probably not. Is it going to make you a billionaire? Probably not. But is it a business that you can run as a wonderful lifestyle business for the rest of your life and clip coupons until you're in the grave? Probably so. And so we're seeing a lot of those at HumanX as well. People who are coming in, and it's exciting for the larger companies who come and for the enterprise executives who come, because they too see these innovations and they go ask their engineers, "Why? I saw this thing at HumanX. Why can't we do that?" And I'm sure all the engineers love that conversation when the CEO gets back and says, "Hey, I saw this cool thing. Why can't we do that?" Sorry, engineers, but we're seeing a lot of that bouncing around as a result of those connections that are happening there. So I'm excited just for the diversity of people we have at the event. That both because you have all the enterprise customers there, all the enterprise companies there, and the enterprise innovators who are doing great work, and you have this amazing middle and lower layer of companies that, I don't think there's really a place today for them to go to be seen by these enterprise buyers and have inspiration for them.
You've essentially triangulated the model of like a development conference, a Davos, an Inks GrowCo. I mean, like you've kind of put that into the heart of what is now our future within like the AI space, which is pretty fantastic.
That was the idea. It's like, I told the whole team from day one, how do you move from inspiration to action? You could go to a lot of events that you get the person on stage who's just giving you the, want to be cool, and we all have flying cars, and we don't have to go to school anymore, and we all have infinite amounts of money, and it's great. Everyone's like, yes, rock on, But then there's that translation layer between, yes, I want to go there, and how do I actually pull it off? Thank you.
Good 30 Rock.
Yeah, I hope I'm glad someone got
Rock.
that. Most of my team is too young. All my dad references just go over their heads. It is the saddest day of my life.
Liz Lemon.
Reference. Yeah.
May she
I want to go
forever.
there. And so how do you actually get them to that level? And that's what I was missing. It's like, I can get excited about a lot of stuff I do every day, but then how do I actually do it? And you're like, oh shit, how do I do?
I'm glad that you brought up teams, because I do want to talk about culture. And I was fascinated by the fact that you said you have 3 people for 1,000 customers.
That's crazy.
There's so much.
Actually 10,000. We have 1,000 that are we are actively managing and talking with. Like,
10,000.
Okay.
Okay.
That's called a massive
That's
model
scale.
for scale and efficiency. Your teams are obviously inundated with the warp speed of the world. How do you personally stay focused? How are you keeping them focused, to your point? And then I want to ask a little bit about some cultural shifts. You were joking around about how a lot of your jokes go over their head, but are they changing the way that you lead? Let's start in the place of let's just start in the place of how are you staying focused with just the inundation of ideas and things coming at you?
Well, I can tell you one thing, that is not my superpower, staying focused. And I think I hire people who drive that focus, because if it's up to me, I would do 50 things every single day at once, which is part of my problem. So I can tell you tool-wise though, I'm using a bunch of AI tools that help me at least corral my ideas into something that is both actionable but also trackable. So that's a lot of, so it's just ways to keep me from kind of spinning off into 1,000 different directions. How do I narrow down my ideas into something which is concrete versus something more amorphous? That's me. And then as far as what the teams have taught me, I've been managing for a long time, but this was not in this era, obviously. No one has in this era, been managing for a long time. And that was interesting. One of my team members said, I tend to go to the how, not the what or the why. That's just, as an engineer, I just think about how do I go solve a problem. My wife loves that, obviously. Yeah, super big fan of that. They're like, I just want to talk. Why? You have a problem. Here's the answer. What is your problem? Yeah. So, but that's something that the team has said too. It's like, hey, can you just, rather than just give us a solution, you actually tell us the why,
they want the context,
and the how. And I'm like, okay, but it does actually it's actually beneficial to me even as I think about working with AI tools. Like, rather than telling I want to go just do this, you say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, and then let the tool actually figure out the best way to. So to me, it was an interesting analog of how the team would tell us the context, and then how I use that to actually work better with AI tools, because they actually want the context. They can get to the how real fast. I don't need to tell them.
Sure.
I need to tell them what I want to do, and then
they might be training the models better to give more context, and also that's fascinating.
Yeah,
they might be asking the better questions.
I think so.
These tools.
So thanks to my millennial team for forcing me to go to the what and the why, not the why.
To get to the feels.
The feels. Yeah. Hasn't helped at home.
How many people at Pinecone?
We're about 100 now.
But you're scaling. I mean, you've scaled. 10,000 customers.
We automate everything.
So how are you keeping focused? Is there a cultural credo? Is there how are you staying focused on the value that you ultimately, versus like just scaling to create more capabilities?
So I suffer from the same, of course.
Every founder does.
The same kind of situation. And we're both technical folks. So again, it's very natural to think about solutions and just find cool ways to do things, right? I do think that has actually a lot of value. And I tell my team a lot, in product and engineering and so on, that sometimes the product is the fact that something is possible, right? It's not that, would it be nice to have a flying car? Right. It starts with somebody's like, holy, if I do this, it can levitate me.
That's so right.
That's the real inception of the flying car. Not, hey, it would be great to have a flying car. The vibe makes doesn't help anyone, because it starts with somebody figuring it out, right?
Sure.
And so oftentimes it's like, hey, engineers, scientists, tell me what's possible. What can we do today that we couldn't do yesterday? And then, okay, can we make a product out of it? Yeah. Can we improve something? Can we streamline something? Maybe it's just it's just a gizmo that nobody cares about. Great, on to the next thing, right? And so I think we need to give, again, as a scientist, as a technologist, I love that pattern. It's like something is now possible that wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
And then, okay, now what value does that unlock, rather than, okay, what do customers ask me to do, and then, okay, can I do that? Because oftentimes, they ask for something that a million other people asked before, and there are 1,000 other ways to think about how to do it, and odds are that your guess of how to solve it is not better than anybody else's guess of how to solve it. And so you sort of go into this sort of old-fashioned way of building businesses. So that's one thing. But the second thing is, it's sort of like you stay focused by staying small. To me,
yeah.
You almost create scarcity, and you're like, if you don't if you can't do everything, you'll naturally do the most important things.
Well, you're proving that staying small and scale are definitely not at odds.
I mean, it doesn't help.
Sure.
I mean, it's a lot of tension,
Sure.
but it creates this like the environment of scarcity creates prioritization everywhere.
Yeah.
Because when you have, you know, it's like, you know, we don't have a problem of, you know, salespeople chasing, you know, dead opportunities
Double leads,
because
exactly.
whatever, because
Right.
they don't have time. Like,
No.
you know, engineers are not like scratching their heads on what to build next. I mean, they're you know, there's a mountain of
Backlog is deep.
execution.
Yeah.
So I imagine, well, I would think, I mean, I've been at companies, Facebook, X, where you founder-led. I imagine a lot of people look to you for the inspiration, the innovation, the ideas. What is your team, what is a couple things that your team has taught you that has given you a way to look at things differently?
I mean, I learn from them all day long. I mean, I tell my team all the time, like, I can't do any of your jobs.
That's totally right.
Right?
It's good.
I'm not a finance guy, I'm not in accounting, I'm not a product manager, I'm not a VP of engineering, I'm not a marketer. I don't know how to do any of those jobs, right? And so, like, I rely on you to teach me and to tell me how we should best do that, but like, I have to rely on them too, and I'm learning all the time, and I love that. That's a part of maybe a part of the affliction of being a founder is that
The affliction.
you know. No, I'm serious.
I
Like,
hear
you
you.
have to be somebody who's very happy to learn all day long and be sort of average,
The dumbest guy in the
below
room, mostly.
average
Yeah.
on 20 different professions.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
You know?
absolutely.
But enough to actually like understand what's happening, be a backstop a little bit, be a little bit of a, you know, sounding board, and be able to sort of like play ball in, you know, in like these 20 different professions. And
Okay.
so I learn, maybe you're asking for a specific thing. I
No.
learned, you know, of 6+ years of running Pinecone, I've learned an infinite amount on like anything from, you know, accounting to marketing to sales to like running engineering, let alone, of course, the science and, you know, our product building. So, there's something
when the founder
super
leans in.
specific. Yeah.
Were you the inspiration behind the Pinecone pioneers?
Pioneers are really, there's a lot of people who really love building on Pinecone, and they become really, really proficient at vector search and building these amazing applications. We have now 100,000 developers join the platform every quarter.
Jeez.
Okay,
1,000?
100,000.
100,000.
100,000.
New developers on board to Pinecone every
Okay.
quarter now. Okay. Many of them are just learning. Many of them are just poking around. Many of them are just, oh, what is a vector database? Many, you know, but there is, you know, sort of the funnel at the core of that community. There are a few thousands of people who truly get it, who built amazing things, who created amazing value, figured a lot of things out, and they're excited about it.
Yeah.
They want to share it. They want to share their knowledge.
Yeah.
They want to, brag about it in a good way. I mean, they deserve to brag about. They build amazing things, right?
Absolutely.
It's great. It's great. You know, and those are the pioneers. Like people who love our product, know what to do with it, are excited to share with others, are excited to unlock others, and we say, let's celebrate that. Let's give them a platform. Let's drive them forward. Let's find ways to make them more engaged and more happy, give them more love, give them more resources, and set them loose on the world. Have them teach everybody.
We need to get the Pioneer program on the bell.
All right.
That's
Let's
a
do-
really
I would love that.
I mean, because you have some really good founders. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
Forever
fly them in.
22, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
No, because you're ultimately you're giving them a stage.
100%.
Great.
I'm for it. Let's do it. I'm serious.
That's great. If you were to toast one big idea, one big moment, either from the year or that you've seen, what would it be? An idea, a person, a moment.
I am so excited that we are finally seeing some of the breakthroughs in fusion energy generation. That's where I get excited. That and some really amazing breakthroughs from Microsoft on quantum computing. So those are my two big things. If my bingo card for the next 5 years of excitement, if I had to write that up, it would be quantum plus fusion, because at that point you have free energy forever basically, and basically unlimited compute. So I'm excited for those two things.
It's hard to top that. He went like all out. That's
Well, I just think like, that's like excited about.
I read a lot of physics that was published. Like,
Right, founder first founder.
Once you go cold fusion, okay, fine. This is you pretty much clean the table. All right, free energy for everybody forever.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Right?
All right.
Not bad.
You guys, this has been great. We're getting ready for the opening bell.
Yeah?
Speaking of, it's Lithia Driveway. I love that you talked about flying cars earlier. I didn't know if that was a throw to Lithia.
Oh, yeah.
But they're getting ready to ring the bell, so cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Thank
Yeah.
you. First,
Thanks a lot.
breakfast on
Thanks,
the
Joe.
balcony.
It
We
was
really
a lot of
appreciate it.
fun.